Hi, welcome back to my house buying series here at Penny's Not Perfection. We are documenting our experience buying a house in this current market from start to finish. We recently put an offer in on a house and it has been accepted. So I kind of wanted to talk through a few of the things I did in the day the offer was accepted and the day after. If you've never bought a home before, this will kind of give you an idea of what happens when you put in an offer and it is accepted. Of course, this is going to vary wildly depending on where you live, what the specific circumstances are, and basically anything could be different. But for us, this is what has happened. So I did not mention this in previous videos, but in order to put in our offer, we also had to choose a closing company. So we had already chosen a realtor, and during the process of getting pre-approvals, we had gotten multiple pre-approvals from different mortgage lenders. So obviously before we put in our offer, we had a realtor, and our realtor created the offer for us. And in order to put in an offer, we had to have a pre-approval from a mortgage lender. So we had gotten pre-approval from a couple different mortgage lenders, and we used one of those to put in our offer. You can change your mind later on which lender you are using to actually get your mortgage, but we did use one of those, and it happened to be the mortgage company that we decided to go with after all. So that's kind of what we did before the offer. We also had to choose a closing company. Basically, these companies help you prepare all of the documents you need in order to close on the house. And this is a legal transaction, so you need lawyers from these companies to be doing this work. So if you don't have a referral, you can ask your realtor who they would suggest. I have a high school friend that his sister is now a closing attorney, so I went with her company because I know she's worked with a lot of people in the city already, and she helped a family member with their transaction, so I was comfortable using her. So that's what we did. We chose her company and her specifically, so that is who we went with for our closing attorney. And we had to do that because it needed to be listed in the offer for the contract. So that's what we did before the offer, basically. And then after the offer was accepted that night, I wrote a list. We called our realtor and we had a probably hour-long chat about some of the details and what was coming next. So at this point in time, yes, your realtor has been really helpful with like looking at houses and showings and all of that. But once you get to the actual like closing experience, that's when they're really, really helpful. So they will kind of guide you through all of the next steps and kind of do a lot of the work for you, which is, I think, where they earn their money, because organizing all of this and making sure people can come at the right times and also doing the negotiations and everything that's coming next, enjoy your money, because that is some hard work. So we talked to him about what was next and what we had to do. And the next steps were basically to write a check for the earnest money. So we did write a check for the earnest money, and that was $4,000. So we put $4,000 toward the earnest money. So yes, we wrote the check. We took it to the company that I need to go to, and my husband got a receipt for it. So we have that basically covered. When the lender asks, where'd that $4,000 go? That's where it went for our earnest money. We have paid our earnest money now. And then we talked to a realtor about the inspection. We will have an inspection. We did an inspection contingency on our offer. We were not going to buy a house as is, especially when it's an older home. That is a wild decision that people were doing back in the day in 2020 just to get houses to make sure they could get in. But I would never do that personally. I would just never do that. I want to know what I'm getting into. So we talked to him about scheduling the inspection. So he is taking the lead on that. We chose the company we wanted to work with for the inspection, but the realtor gets to schedule when it is with that company, as well as the pest company for a termite inspection as well, because it is an older home and needs a termite inspection too. So he is coordinating all of that. And then we also wanted a person that does our tree work here at our house currently to also be there for the inspection and check out the trees on this property, because it does have several large older trees. So that is one of the things that he is also coordinating. So coordinating lots of different moving parts and people to get them all at the same place at the same time to make sure that this house has nothing terribly wrong with it and we don't have to back out of the transaction, because we don't want to, but if we have to, That's what the inspection is for. And then that night when we talked to the realtor, we also talked about the appraisal, because we do have an appraisal that is needed for the lender, and it has to come back at the right amount in order for us to pay the amount that we offered. So we talked about that, and then that was pretty much it for the first day. It was a lot of like excitement and lots of moving parts after we had gone so fast with this. The next day after we had our offer accepted, we did a lot with the lender on that side of things, because we had already done a pre-approval and sent in basically what was in all of our accounts and our income, and that had been verified. We were already kind of in a good spot for the lending side, but we did have to do a little bit more. There were multiple emails back and forth from the lending side and from us to our mortgage lender about questions and things that they needed. So I spent probably most of my day sending in more paperwork, confirming assets, getting questions I had answered, just confirming things for them, especially since I am self-employed. They wanted 2 years of my tax returns, but my 2 years of tax returns were the same amount basically. And then this year it has been a lot more. So we just kind of talked through that, and I had to send them my tax returns, which I had not filed. So I also had to file my taxes during this process. So I had to make sure that my taxes were filed with my accountant, and that way I could send my filed tax return for the mortgage that we were getting. It was a lot of paperwork. Basically, I had to not work and I had to do house paperwork instead. So on this day, we also signed disclosures from our lending company. So they will guide you through all of this, but they will send you things to sign, and you will look them over and make sure you're okay with it, and then sign it and send it back. We also had a email introduction with the closing attorney, who I obviously knew already in real life, and she just said that she was happy to be working with us and introduced us to her team. And then her team sent us a separate email and opened up a portal for us with the tasks we have to do for closing and any documents that we will have to upload for them, or anything that we have to sign. So that's all open and ready to go. I like these companies that do everything online and makes it super easy to upload, and that is definitely a plus. I remember the first time we bought a house, it was not like that. We definitely went through a more manual process, even though that was only 8 years ago. Choosing the right companies, if you want to do things digitally, is important. And then we also talked to a realtor again. So we've been talking to a realtor a lot each day, and that is probably going to continue as things pop up and things change. And we go through things like the inspection and whatever else might come up. So then the next day I did choose the lender that we had been working with already. So we had kind of been working with them, but also still talking to the other lender just in case. But we decided that we did want to go with the lender that we had chosen for the offer with the pre-approval, and we let him know. And then we also locked in our rate, which was good. So that was nice to lock in the rate, whether things change or not. We are comfortable with this rate. And honestly, of course, we do hope to refinance in the future and maybe come down a percentage point or two, but it's not a guarantee. We might have to pay this rate forever, and that is what it is based on the current environment we are in financially in this world. So, and then we also had the realtor confirm the inspection with the house inspector, and the termite inspection was scheduled at the same time. So he got all of that scheduled for us. He just confirmed it with us, which was great. And then we also paid the appraisal fee to the lender. So that was $650. So far in this experience, we had paid $4,000 in earnest money. So that has been taken out. And then now we have paid $650 in the appraisal fee. So the appraisal fee was sent to the lender, and then they will order the appraisal, and that just has to match what we are paying for this house. I'm pretty sure it will, but you never know. So we will have an update when that comes back, but it has been paid for now, and they will be ordering that and getting that put together. Then we did even more documents for the lender. We sent in more things that they had questions about. So we sent in as much as we could just to make sure that they have everything, and they are sending our file to underwriting now. So making sure that they think that we can pay this loan, that we can make these payments, and we are not a huge risk for them. And that is what sending all those documents in is for. And then that gets passed on to underwriting to make sure that we are trustworthy enough to get all of this money. So that was exciting to hear that the application is complete on our mortgage loan. Yay, that is done. And then now it's been passed on to the processor and underwriting. So that's where it is for the loan. Then also that day, the final thing that I did was the initial task from the closing company. So they had a couple documents in the portal that I needed to review. And I looked over those and signed those. And that was the final thing that we did. So yeah, that's where we are now. We have done a lot of the paperwork really quickly up front. So getting the loan working in process to do underwriting. We have inspections scheduled for next week. We are working with the closing company now, and yeah, things are moving. They're moving. I will say, based on my past experience and the realtor just reminding me, there's a lot that happens really fast when you're buying a house, like a lot. It's just so much. My brain, honestly, a couple times this week was just like, it's too much. I've spent entire days this week doing back and forth stuff with the house purchase and paperwork, and it's a lot. So that is really common, and you'll do a lot up front, and then it slows down. Then you're done for a while, and you wait and you wait and you wait again until the inspection and then repairs and then closing. So for now, we're pretty much done with everything regarding this house purchase for a while. So there won't be a lot of more videos coming out until we've had our inspection and the repairs process. And then eventually we will share all of the other stuff. But for now, we're done with everything that I think we need to do for now because our loan is, in process. It's moving on to underwriting. They have what they need from us about our income, about our assets, and our current debt on this house, and like everything that they need, they have. So they may come back with some questions and things, but for now, we're kind of just done with the paperwork and waiting to see what's next and how the inspection goes. I will be sharing more videos as we go through this home buying process, so subscribe to Pennies Not Perfection to learn more about it and support us as we go through this journey of buying a new home that is so perfect for our family. See you guys in the next video.